Denny Hamlin dropped a nuclear bomb on NASCAR social media. While Team Penske desperately sells the narrative their disastrous pit crew is fixed, Hamlin needed exactly 2 words to destroy the illusion: savage, unfiltered, and instantly viral. To understand why Hamlin pulled the trigger, look at the explosive reality hiding behind Martinsville. The tension between Hamlin and Blaney had been building for weeks, especially after their explosive contact at Martinsville Speedway, where Blaney didn't hesitate to call out Hamlin, saying, "Yeah, he just put me in the fence," making it clear he believed Hamlin crossed the line during their late race battle. To understand why this social media moment hit so hard, you need to understand the context of what's been happening between these 2 championship contenders. Hamlin sits 3rd in the Cup Series standings while Blaney remains in 2nd place, and their recent on-track history has been anything but friendly. This Martinsville incident marks the 2nd straight week Hamlin has found himself under the spotlight, as just a week earlier at Darlington, the 3-time Daytona 500 winner spun fellow Toyota driver Eric Jones of Legacy Motor Club, with Hamlin taking responsibility for that incident as well. The social media explosion started during NASCAR's rare Easter weekend off, with only 2 weekends off throughout the grueling 36-race season, one of which was now in the books. Drivers and fans alike were looking for their racing fix. That's when Travis Rockhold, Hamlin's podcast producer, made a seemingly innocent suggestion on social media. Rockhold posted on Twitter suggesting that Easter Sunday would be a perfect time for a Cup race, writing, "Right now would be a perfect time for a Cup race." The comment seemed harmless enough, just a producer missing the action during the sport's brief break. But Hamlin's response was immediate and devastating. Without any hesitation, without any diplomatic language or corporate speak, Hamlin fired back with just 2 words that would instantly become NASCAR social media legend. STFU. That's it. 2 words, 4 letters. Complete nuclear annihilation of any further discussion. The beauty of Hamlin's response wasn't just its brutality, it was its perfect timing and context. Here was a driver who had just dominated Martinsville Speedway for 292 laps, leading a race-high 292 laps, and appearing to be the dominant car of the day, only to see victory slip away in the final moments. He ended the day in 2nd place, finishing 0.565 seconds behind Elliott after leading 73% of the race, making it a frustrating result after such dominance. The last thing he wanted to hear was his own podcast producer suggesting they should be racing on their 1 weekend off. But this response reveals something deeper about Hamlin's personality that makes him one of NASCAR's most compelling figures. Unlike many drivers who carefully craft their public personas, Hamlin operates with a level of honesty that's both refreshing and occasionally brutal. In the world of NASCAR, admitting fault is as close as a driver gets to an apology, and Hamlin has shown repeatedly that he's willing to own his mistakes. When reporters asked if his contact with Blaney was necessary, he provided a candid response. "Yeah, I wouldn't disagree." This willingness to speak his mind extends beyond on-track incidents to social media, where Hamlin has built a reputation for saying exactly what he thinks. Consequences be damned. It's this same personality trait that led to his savage shutdown of the Easter racing suggestion. The Rockhold incident also highlighted the strategic thinking behind NASCAR's schedule. In his follow-up posts, Rockhold explained his logic for wanting Cup action on Easter. He pointed out that CBS would be broadcasting the final round of the Masters tournament the following weekend, meaning NASCAR would be competing for eyeballs against one of golf's biggest events. Next weekend or next one or the one after that, Rockhold replied to critics, "Look at the sports calendar and be strategic. Next weekend, you know CBS has the final round of the Masters. You know it's going to steal lots of eyeballs." From a business perspective, Rockhold wasn't wrong. Sports programming is all about capturing audience attention, and competing against the Masters for viewers is never ideal. But Hamlin's response made it clear that drivers' personal time and family commitments matter more than theoretical television ratings improvements. This brings us to Team Penske and the struggling pit crew performance that's been haunting Ryan Blaney's championship hopes. After demanding improvement from his number 12 crew last month, Blaney had called for better performance following significant troubles with pit stops at Darlington, where he eventually came home in 3rd. The Darlington disaster was a perfect example of how small mistakes can cost drivers huge positions and potentially championships. Blaney came in for a change of tires and fuel relatively early on in the race, but when doing so, his team had failed to adequately tighten the lug nut on one of his wheels, forcing him to stop in teammate Austin Cindric's pit box as a result, and for that, NASCAR penalized him and sent him to the rear of the field. The scope of Team Penske's pit road problems became glaringly clear when Fox's Mike Joy revealed they ranked 33rd out of 36 full-time crews. For a championship-caliber team, that is simply unacceptable. But instead of demanding wholesale changes or throwing his crew under the bus, Blaney chose loyalty. "We didn't want to make any changes," he explained. "We wanted those guys to just keep working on it. I think they have potential to be one of the best crews." That patience paid off at Martinsville, where a clean day on pit road helped Blaney secure another top 10. "I thought those guys put together a really good day. Didn't have any mistakes," Blaney noted on SiriusXM NASCAR radio. He perfectly captured the incredibly fine margins of pit road dynamics. When you're on the edge like this, it's just like racing. Sometimes you make mistakes trying to be the fastest. Blaney compared it to his own driving. He could run half a second off the pace and never make a mistake, but pushing the limit risks hitting the fence. It's the same thing with those guys. They could slow down, but now you're losing half a second on pit road. This philosophy of pushing to the absolute limit separates championship teams from also-rans. But it also creates the immense tension that leads to moments like Hamlin's social media explosion. The psychology behind Hamlin's brutal response goes deeper than post-race fatigue. Elite athletes operate at incomprehensible stress levels. When you've just led nearly 300 laps and watched a guaranteed victory slip away, while battling for a championship against drivers like Blaney, the absolute last thing you want to hear is your producer suggesting you should be racing on your only weekend off. Hamlin admitted he lost control exiting Turn 4, unintentionally forcing Blaney into the wall and ensuring neither could catch Elliott. The irony is that both drivers are dealing with the exact same championship pressure. 2023 Cup Series champion Blaney sits second in the standings behind Tyler Reddick with 1 win and 5 top 10s. Hamlin is right on his bumper in third, boasting a Las Vegas victory. They both know every single mistake could cost them a title. Yet, despite this fierce rivalry, they'll be working together on April 21st for a Goodyear tire test at Chicagoland Speedway. Joining Kyle Larson and several O'Reilly Auto Parts Series stars, Hamlin and Blaney will test ahead of the legendary track's highly anticipated July return. This illustrates the unique professionalism of modern NASCAR. Drivers can wreck each other one weekend, then collaborate the next to determine tire compounds and setup strategies. Both Hamlin and Blaney understand the bigger picture. Growing the sport and collecting crucial championship data benefits everyone in the ecosystem. But that certainly doesn't mean they have to be nice to each other on social media. The beauty of Hamlin's STFU response is that it perfectly captures his unfiltered authenticity. Hamlin races right on the edge, leaving us wondering how long he can stay there before someone retaliates. Contrasting Hamlin's social media brutality, Blaney took the diplomatic route regarding their Martinsville contact. "We talked after the race, we're all good. He got free off Turn 4. I got the bad end of it. But I don't think it was intentional." The upcoming Food City 500 at Bristol is the next chapter in this rivalry. For Blaney, it's an opportunity to prove his pit crew's improvements are sustainable. For Hamlin, it's another step toward that elusive first Cup Series championship. Ultimately, Hamlin's brutal response about racing on Easter reminds us these drivers operate under immense pressure. He wasn't being unprofessional, he was being human. The fact that Hamlin and Blaney can battle fiercely on track, yet work together professionally at a tire test days later, highlights the unique maturity of modern NASCAR. Expect more unfiltered honesty as this season intensifies, because sometimes the most honest response is the most brutal one. Subscribe for more NASCAR breakdowns. You won't want to miss Bristol next weekend.